Hi guys, sorry we're a little bit late. We had some technical problems.
I was taking all that personally. It was my problem, and
We're
I
taking
just,
it personally.
yeah. And I sent Sally an email to see whether I was not the only one. But thank you.
No, it was everybody. We had some technical problems getting on the line here. Uh, I have fantastic internet speed, being out here in the sticks, and then we've had power cuts. We've had two power outs today. So, we have to reboot everything as a result of that. So, apologies for this. It's just one of those things. So, we're into direct command. Now, this is quite exciting stuff because it involves both the positive aura and the direct flash. Now, Theron Q Dumont, I mean, even though the book was written in 19 whatever, says some really interesting things which we teach at our NLP trainers train. So, direct command. Let's just look at that first. We're using all of our positive aura. We're using all of our direct flash. I think the interesting thing that Theron Q Dumont talks about here is sending a picture into the person's mind as well as the AD, the words, the direct command. That's something that we teach in our trainers train. Now, the next thing I think was really interesting is how do you go about doing a direct command to an audience? Which is something we teach at our NLP trainers training. So let me just draw this up for a second. And this is what Theron talks about. So here's your audience. Might be 100 people, might be 50 people, oops, might be 5,000 people. And you are here. Now, what Theron talks about is about picking out within the group leaders. Which is something we talk about on our trainers train. Because whenever a group of people get together, they will have a leader. Unconsciously, they choose a leader. So you might have this group here as an example, and that person there might be the leader. You've got this group here, could be like that, and that person is the leader. Or we've got this group here, and that person might be the leader. Then there's this little group here. So what Theron is talking about is direct flashing the group leader, as in this person, this person, this person, this person. And then what happens is you get the entire group. And it's not only with your magnetism, it's also with the picture, the AD that you have going out of your mind. Now, let me give you an extra piece from a Huna point of view. In Huna, we have the idea of the elements. We've got, and particularly I'm talking about the spirit element, which in Huna is called the Keave or the Eo. In other systems is called the Akasha. In other systems, it might be called the Western Mystery Tradition. It's called the electromagnetic fluid. And there's a secret. So, if we want to do a direct command, a direct flash, we do it via this element here. So, what we do is, here's you, here's the other person, and we imagine between us and the other person, and it doesn't matter where the other person is in the world, we imagine the ear, the spirit element, and we send into this the picture and the command. And imagine it going through the spirit element and arriving at this person here, so they get the visual and the AD. That's the Huna perspective on the direct command, the direct flash. And, you know, this chapter really builds on the previous chapters, so there's not a lot to really go with there other than that. So I'll open it up to questions now.
Okay. Couple of people asking, how do you know who the leaders are in the...
Oh, okay. Good question. So you've got to be in Hakalau so you can see everybody. What you'll see, and this is not what Theron Q Dumont's talking about really in Personal Magnetism, but it's integrating what we teach at NLP Trainers Training. What you'll see is only when you're in Hakalau, you'll see this person here move, and these people here then move with them. This person here, you'll see them move, and these people here move with them. That's how, I mean, we call them rapport leaders in NLP Trainers Training. But if you get these people, you'll get everybody else. Any other questions, Sally?
Not at the moment. Has anybody got anything else they want to ask from this session or the last one?
I've got a question, but I haven't got time to type it.
Okay,
Charles, I recognise your voice.
So, if I understand it correctly, we're putting together if I got this right, we're putting together an internal auditory command or instruction that we want to pass on to somebody else. So we're saying that inside our nervous system, is that right? And then we are, as part of that, creating an internal visual and projecting the internal visual out to the audience member that we want to connect with. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes. So you're going like, as in Theron says in his book, pay attention to me was a direct command, AD. Then he has a picture in his mind of everybody in the audience paying attention to him.
Okay.
So then he uses the positive aura and the direct flash with the picture and pay attention to me. To these people here. Then he'll get the entire audience.
Okay.
I found it a fascinating chapter actually, because it's not NLP. It's in the 1920s, obviously, so that's before NLP was invented, before NLP was created, and it is actually what we teach on our NLP training training.
Cool.
Does that answer your question, Charles?
Absolutely. Thanks very much, David.
Cheers, mate. Sally, any other questions?
Liz Oliver has a question.
Who does? Liz.
Liz.
Yeah.
Liz.
Yeah.
Liz.
So, are you saying that this kind of communication always needs to happen before you actually start speaking? You know, at which point during a presentation would you be communicating in this way?
That's a really good question, Liz. And thank you for putting the thing in the group about the panic attacks. I can't remember which one of the lives we did where I explained the technique, and I will get back to everybody on that. This is a ongoing process in that the person who is the leader will change after every break, every lunchtime, every day. So it needs to be an active process that you're doing all of the time, because the people can change.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're just doing a 30-minute keynote, then you spot those people. But if you're doing a 2 or 3, or like Sally and I have just done, a 14-day training, the person who is the lead changes all of the time. So it's an ongoing process.
Yeah. So it strikes me as something that takes quite a lot of practice and mastery to do well.
Yeah, and once you've got it, you've got it. You've really got to get it to the point where it's unconscious. A little bit like driving a car. You know, you're driving a car and you're conscious mind's following the way you're going and all that kind of stuff, but your unconscious mind is doing the brakes, the clutch, the changing the gears, all of those kind of things. So really what you want to do is get it to the point where it's an unconscious thing that you don't have to think about. It's just one of those things that happens.
Sure. Okay. Can I ask one more question? Because I don't see anyone else writing one, if that's okay. So in the third flip chart you put up about going through the spirit element, what's the advantage of doing that as opposed to like just ignoring that bit and going straight sort of direct to the person?
The spirit element is, let me just put the flip chart back up. Oh, look. Actually have it. Yes, there we go. The spirit element is the element by which you transmit thought forms. And what Theron Q Dumont is talking about is thought forms. Sending a picture, sending a command. He doesn't talk about this. So I've added it in from my understanding of Huna. Is that we can empower that transmission, if you like, by using the spirit element. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, then you know.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Liv. Anybody else got any questions? Oh, hang on. Leo's got a comment, so let's pick up with Leo.
What's his comment?
The flexion of picture remind me a lecture I attended about communicating with animals, and the speaker mentioned that the pets like to speak in pictures. So if you want to tell them something, send them a picture, which is like what you said, like flashing a picture, which I've been trying to do it, especially if I'm leaving the house, trying to tell them when I come back. And I guess it's the same as personal magnetism, just with animals.
Yeah, I mean, I've got an idea about this with animals because I've got 2 cats here. I actually believe, and I've got no proof of this, but cats or animals see you as your unconscious animal. There's an idea in most of the traditions around the planet that your unconscious mind was an animal in its previous life. Mine was a black panther. So my belief is that our cats here see me as a black panther, and therefore do what they're told. But that's just my idea. But yes, Leo, yeah, I totally agree with that.
And from my experience with all the exercise you gave, I had better success with dogs and cats than with people. Of turning their head, or when I smile at them and they're like paying attention to me. So I don't know if it's a personal magnetism or, like you said, the unconscious mind, previous animal.
Well, the thing there, Leo, is to work out what the person's unconscious mind, what animal the person's unconscious mind is, and then communicate to that animal rather than the conscious mind. And you know, you can pick this up sometimes. You know, you look at somebody and go like, okay, I think they're a squirrel. I think they were a a panther, I think they were a tiger, I think they were a monkey, and then communicate with that animal, then you'll get the results you want.
Thanks.
Charles has a comment.
Charles.
Hi, I'm back again. There seems to be lots of questions coming out of mind this evening. What it is, and it's a comment and it's like a question. I remember with a particular training session that I was presented to a group of people, and I can only describe it as some people or people sat next to each other or different people around the group seemed to shine. They seem to have like their aura was brighter when I was doing this particular training session. When you described it as the leaders, it suddenly dawned on me, hang on a second, did I inadvertently observe or notice that these people were like shining or latching onto the idea that I was going through, and that was getting their aura to seemingly expand because they almost bought into the idea. And it did. I noticed it, never really thought about it since until you just mentioned it, and I suddenly went, hang on a second, is that what was going on in that circumstance that I was picking up the rapport leaders on the basis that I was seeing more clearly their aura than I was before. I don't know, it's just asking a question, really.
Yes. The key is Hakalau, peripheral vision. Then these people, and you quite rightly say, for you, they glow. For me, I'm kind of like, okay, I see this person, my attention's drawn to them. They do something, and then I see the movements ripple out into another group of people. Mm-hmm. They're the people that I focus on because here we go. It's that one there. You get that person, that person, that person, that person, and then you get the entire audience. And that works with, 20 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. The key is Hakalau. Be in peripheral vision. Then you'll spot the people that you need to connect with. And when you've got them, you get the entire audience.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so it's interesting because as you say, if the level of Hakalau I was in at the time was more sensitive, that's when I'd spot the difference. So
Yeah.
So the whole point behind it, which is nice, because actually, you think about it from a perspective of perception as projection, then we can take total responsibility for connecting with the audience because that's down to me and how well I do Hakalau.
Yes, totally.
Fab, thank you.
And that's how, Charles, you take control of an audience. And whenever a group of people get together, unconsciously, they seek for somebody to be in control. My whole idea is, if you're the presenter, it works better if that's you.
Yes. So you mentioned about Bill Clinton when he walked into a room on one of the previous sessions. You mentioned when he
Yes.
walked into a room and people physically were silent and turned towards him. Is that need of a leader, or is that deference to the fact that he's who he is, or is it a bit of both?
I think it's more to do with from a previous session, his aura, the energy that he puts out. Whether he's trained in that or not, I don't know. But certainly I've heard people say that as soon as he walked into a room, attention went on him. If we want to take it back to Huna, then Moina Simeone, or Simeone, who traveled the world teaching Ho'oponopono, people said that when she walked into a room, the room got brighter. And a lot of people said that it's because she did Ho'oponopono every day with everything and everybody. So her energy was so pure that when she walked into a room, literally, the room got lighter.
Wow. Well, thank you, David.
Cheers, mate. Sally, have we got any other questions?
We do not.
I mean, this session really was a bit of a, when I read the chapter, it was a bit of a culmination of previous chapters, really. So I'm, we had a lot of questions before. So this is a real integration of things we talked about before. So I'm not surprised we don't have that many questions. So.
Patricia's got something she'd like to share.
Okay, Patricia.
Hi. Yeah, I'm just thinking about what you're saying about previous chapters. I found it really useful. I can't remember which chapter it was, but the positive negative one. I can't remember what it was called now, but it was really useful going from the positive to the negative, then going back to the positive. And I kind of found myself coming up with a list of positives and trying to almost create like an anchor for myself in terms of a word to then kind of like to utilize those positive, the positive aspects. And I kind of used it in relation to a goal. And so I came up with the word take action. And then underneath that, I came up with like normalizations. But then I found myself going through a process of chunking down in terms of those normalizations and working out what it meant to me to take action. And I realized that there's a bit in the chapter that says about to visualize it inside, outside, like internal, external, the kind of thing that you want to achieve. And I realized actually through that process of actually thinking about it and playing with it and being curious about what it meant to me taking action, that I found that process actually helped me. So as we're using it in terms of relationship, I use it in different goals, like for example, fitness. So I used it in relation to fitness and kind of like seeing results and stuff. And so I thought it was really useful. And I realized actually the process and applying NLP to what Dumont had written in his book was really, really good. So it was useful. Thank you.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
And then I thought there was one question I had actually about, I went through this process and obviously he does it differently in the books, didn't have NLP back then.
No.
So I was thinking, like, is there even more effective way of doing it? Because I found that actually doing it and revisiting it over the last couple of weeks is what actually made the difference. And I was trying to I wonder if there's like a more effective way of marrying up NLP and what Dumont wrote in that chapter.
Yeah. So this is something that's come up over the last week, actually, on our master practitioner training, which is dissociated state rehearsal, which some people in NLP call the new behavior generator. So what you do is you find somebody who has a behavior that you want to have. World-class model of excellence. You watch them in your mind doing that. Then you imagine you doing that, which I think is something similar to what you were doing anyway.
Yeah.
So you're seeing yourself doing it. Then you step into yourself doing it. And then after doing those 3 steps, that's when you actually physically do it. So I do this with guitar. That's one of my things. I've got a couple of guitars here. One of my guitar heroes is Brian Setzer. Phenomenal guitarist. So if I want to learn to play a particular track that Brian does, I find a video of him playing it and I watch it over and over again until I don't need to watch it on the screen. I can see in my mind. Then I put me in the picture of me doing it, not Brian, but I'm seeing myself doing it. Then when I can do that perfectly, that's when I put myself in the picture associated, me doing it, seeing my hands, seeing the guitar through my own eyes. Then I pick up the guitar. And, it's interesting, isn't it, that, Personal Magnetism was written at about 1930, 1930, and these things are now in NLP.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Sally, any other questions?
No. No other questions.
No.
And thank you, Patricia.
Okay.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here, and we'll be here next week for our next episode of Personal Magnetism.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. Bye.
See you guys.
Thanks, David and Sal.
Bye.
Phil, I can see you there. Grant, out in Spain.
Sheila and Trina from
Sheila.
Canada.
Out in Canada.
Trina's there too somewhere.
Can't see Trina, but
She may have jumped off already, but she was there.
all right.
Great to see you, Sheila.
Thanks for joining us, guys.